full-time, for example?
If I'm doing full-time, honestly, I haven't thought about how much I could do if I could do it full-time, because right now I'm about to graduate, so I'm trying to get a job, so I haven't really factored that in.
Yeah.
But sorry, I don't have an adequate answer.
Well, I'm just thinking that's a constraint. I mean, I think this is very cool, but one of the questions is how fast can you generate content, because it all depends on the content. It's got to be
Definitely.
fresh. So you got to just be a machine creating content.
I like the area. I'm not a gamer. My son is a gamer though, and he keeps up with whatever anybody's saying about the various things. But what's the longevity of the content? In other words, is this like last night's newscast? No one's ever going to watch last night's newscast again. They want today's newscast. In other words, you're building a library, but no one's ever going to watch the old content. They all only watch the brand new stuff. Tell me how does that work?
I totally understand that. I think that is a constraint with what I'm doing. It is very fresh because esports news happens very quickly.
Because you're talking more news rather than here's a clip that you're going to want to watch over and over and over, right?
Yeah.
It's a daily show.
It's a daily show,
Yeah.
right? So that has a greater cost, if you will, per view than something where you put it on and it goes viral and people are going to be watching it for years.
You're right. Totally right.
A long tail.
Interesting.
So the sports piece, like, I think I get it. You're basically saying you want to bring a traditional sports talk format, but the content is esports.
Yes, sir.
It really doesn't matter whether I watch League of Legends and am a Cowboys fan, right? I mean, you're not going to talk about the Cowboys.
No, probably not.
No. So this idea that like you intersected who likes esports and who likes sports, and that's somehow the market. It's not. You're just sort of demonstrating that there may be an appetite for a style of presenting content that happens to be about esports. Yes?
Yeah, that's it.
That makes more sense, because I was trying to think, like, do we care if
Yeah.
LeBron James is playing League of Legends? No, right? We're not. That's not what we're talking about.
I mean, we may, because so HyperX is a gaming like headset company, and they just partnered with the Dallas Mavericks. So I would consider that something that
There is going to be more of a blend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a. I mean,
anytime sports and esports are intersecting and it's like relatively big news, I'm putting it on my Twitter.
Right.
So I think that's something that
like I know Jerry Jones just invested in a.
Yes.
Or they moved.
And Daryl Morey just
right.
bought a team.
So I mean, I think you maybe, if you really do, like Vance point out, have the endurance, right, and because it's a relentless.
Definitely.
And the personality, right? I mean, you have to sort of develop that on-air persona. I mean, there is an interesting, like, emerging, like, esports is arriving, right? It's becoming pop culture. My kids spend all day watching League of Legends championships. I don't get it. I'm like, what are you watching? I don't understand. I got some other people playing video games. Okay, but it's there, and the fact that it's sort of ascending to this sports, that level consciousness, I think is something to capitalize on.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you can pull it all together is
That's
the proof,
the key,
right?
right?
That's the execution. Yeah.
So where I was going, you kind of picked on basically two games that you're familiar with, and you're saying those are the two I'm going to do because I can do that. I can do content on those two, but I can't do content on everything, right?
It's hard to speak to certain games.
But from a business perspective, you're trying, and you need to get there, but you're building a platform. You're saying here's a style of presenting the news. Right. Well, the news isn't just on those two games. The news is on across the whole industry. So what you need is other content providers. So you become the platform, right? You have other content providers, and you're basically just the publisher.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's where you need to get to.
Aggregator.
You're an aggregator.
So I have an Overwatch guy, and I have a
right. But nobody's
whatever
going to want to come to your platform if you got you're not big enough yet. So you got to get to scale before you can attract other contributors, right? But the more contributors you get, it's a chicken and egg thing, right?
Yeah.
Then the more you're going to attract, right?
Definitely.
So yeah. It's an interesting, but that's where you need to get to eventually, right? You see that?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, it's right now it seems like you designed a really cool career, and the next step is to design a business from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you prove out. You're doing a proof of concept. See, does this attract people with a limited amount of content? And now can I bring in more contributors increase the amount of content, increase the amount of viewers.
Do I need to change directions or?
Yeah, and how do I adjust this? Because what you really want to promise a contributor is, right, you're going to make 85 cents and I'm going to make 15 cents, right? And then you just bring in a lot of contributors and you get a bigger and bigger channel. And then you're doing side deals with, whether they be game developers or, other players. And these guys are just getting the, a portion of revenue, right? So you're finding other revenue sources for the umbrella platform. But yeah, you got to get your content in. You got to find something
Definitely.
get you over the 10,000 as a starter.
Definitely.
But I think it's got legs.
Two quick questions. So just, we talked about esports is arriving. Y'all may know this. How much was the Overwatch franchise sold here for?
So there are 12 spots in the league. Each was priced at $20 million.
So the Hirsch family.
Just to get in.
But the Overwatch.
So there was a Dallas team, there's a Houston team, there's 2 LA teams. I could go on.
But put it this way, someone's
Automate
going to do
decisions.
this, right? It's a question of whether or not.
If I can do it.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And-
Yeah, well, this to me is a business. You go to scale and then you sell it. I mean, this has an exit. This has an exit if you want it.
What did you tell them the rest of your business plan?
Originally I put on my milestones, I did want to find a career in the esports industry.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of my exit strategy. I wanted to get a job, essentially.
So-
It's kind of a niche market right now. Like you have
So
to
is
know
this
someone to get a job in esports, and I didn't
So you're,
have that in. And I think this is a way to create name recognition.
this is your resume?
Yeah, your resume. Yeah.
This is your portfolio?
Exactly.
Yeah. It'll work. It'll
Yeah,
work.
I'm curious, on the SAM generating the content, there are, I don't know how many thousands of journalism graduates every year from American schools, and a few hundred of them really good. And one of my daughters is in that category, and she tells me that about half of the guys getting journalism degrees want to do sports, and the others want to do all other things that could be written about. And so she's in a different time zone where she's not going to answer tonight, but I just texted her to say, how many of your friends are trying to cover esports? Because these are content generating machines.
Mhm.
And so I'd be curious about that.
Definitely.
I mean, people who know how to generate crank out the sentences, the quick videos, put it all together.
Yeah, you're like the BuzzFeed of esports. Or
Yeah.
check out a media channel called Cheddar,
Okay.
and they're trying to be the CNBC of like the YouTube set. So, but they, if you ever watch Planet of the Apps, it's on Apple
Yeah.
Music. Yeah, they
Gary
were on.
Vaynerchuk.
They were on that recently, and it might just be, informative. Like they're on a parallel track. They're ahead of you, but it's the same challenges that they're trying to generate content
That'd be valuable.
and find space in somebody's media consumption diet. That's what you're trying to do.
So last comment, and I'll let you. So are you still broadcasting? So you're on air.
I am on air. It's kind of rough right now, but because I haven't been able to keep up with it as much because of just life stage I'm in, finals and trying to find a job. But I do have resources from one of my ex-bosses who my dad works for, built a podcast studio or a radio studio in his office, and he's letting me use it. So I have the equipment there that is kind of necessary to do this.
Is this a podcast or a video cast?
Videocast.
Okay.
I just did.
Are you using those interchangeably?
So I think audio is important. I think primarily I'm a videocast, so it's a show. But I think having the audio, for someone that maybe missed it or wants to listen to it the next morning, I think is valuable.
Right.
If they don't have time to watch the whole thing, maybe they want to watch it on the way to work.
Right.
I think that
In the car.
kind of gives them their esports news of the day. I think long term, this is kind of ambitious, but I want to be on Alexa or Google Home where they're like, hey, what's the esports news of the day? And I come in, hey, this happened, this is your esports briefing or whatever.
Here's
Because I think that's where it's going.
Here's a thought about if you're looking for a job, is that it's likely that the job you're looking for does not exist. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to connect with somebody who's interested in the esports industry, or they're involved in the esports industry, and what you're telling them is this is what's missing. And if this is the kind of job you want, you basically are saying, you need to back me, we need to build this, and this is the job. And, you know, you can say, I'll get it started, but, you know, here's how it's going to play out. Here's what it's going to look like. And so you're bringing the vision to them, and then you're saying, this is where I fit in on this. But they're not, because there's no one that's going to say, oh, you know, here's the job, and you're going to fit into it, because the job doesn't exist. Because you're filling something that you want that isn't out there, right? Yeah, so the job's not there either. So you just need, if you look for a job, you got to find somebody, and you got to sell them on the whole idea, and just say, you know, I can build this for you, and then get them to put their resources behind it.
Get them bought in.
Yeah,
Definitely.
great.
Thanks for the advice. I appreciate it.